Good day, everybody. It's Andrew here. Welcome back to my channel. We've got some big updates regarding current negotiations on this next stimulus package and payment dates that could be possible when you take into account everything that we know that currently is going on. So let's discuss the details. But before we jump into it, do me a quick favor. Hit the like button, hit subscribe, and share this channel with anyone who you think might find this helpful. This is a community for seniors, and my job here is to be a voice for you to make sure President Biden keeps his promise to increase Social Security benefits, increase SSI and SSDI, and even approve a stimulus check for seniors in this next stimulus package. So thank you for being a part of our community, and if you really want to support my work, subscribe to my second channel. The link to that is going to be in the comments of this video, and on that channel, we're going to have some updates as well. We're also going to be giving away stimulus checks, so subscribe if you want a chance to win stimulus checks. But it's mostly going to be more of a fun entertainment community where I'm going to be on camera with a live chat. So you can chat with me, chat with the community. We're going to play bingo. We're going to have news updates. We're going to play casino games. More of just a fun community, almost to kind of forget about the serious topics we talk about on this channel. But again, if you really want to support my work, subscribe to that channel. And thank you to the 5,000 people who have already subscribed. So before we jump into today's update, potential payment dates for these stimulus checks for seniors. Of course, Bernie Sanders is trying to include stimulus checks in this next stimulus package. Let's do a quick update on daily trending news. Now, if you follow my channel, you know I've been doing a series where we talk about the best states and the worst states to retire in this country. Now, coming in at number 19 was Nebraska. And then coming in, it looks like they're giving it a tie at number 19 as well, is Vermont. Now, the Green Mountain State has plenty of hiking trails and ski slopes to keep you active, but it will take all your willpower to venture outside during the long, cruel winters. Vermont is also one of the most expensive states to call home. Its average insurance premiums are in a four-way tie for last place. So apparently insurance is really expensive in Vermont. Apparently they have really high gas tax and property taxes as well. So it seems like when you take into account the bad weather in the winters and the high taxes, this is why Vermont is rated the 19th worst state to retire in. And it's kind of surprising since Bernie Sanders, senator from Vermont, is one of the biggest advocates for seniors, but yet they have such high insurance premiums and it's rated pretty low as far as where you could retire. So I thought that was interesting. It seems like a lot of these states that are rated low, it has to do with property tax, insurance premium prices, and the weather. So it seems like that might be what's most important for seniors. Let me know in the comments if you agree. And let me know in the comments if you live in Vermont, if you agree with this or if you disagree. Now, a couple more topics in trending news. One thing when it comes to Medicare is it looks like they're considering expanding telehealth coverage on Medicare. Now, during the pandemic, they expanded how much telehealth was covered with Medicare, and it looks like overall seniors have enjoyed this. So although this was supposed to be a temporary Medicare benefit, they're looking at the data and considering expanding it and making that permanent. Now, I know a lot of seniors have enjoyed this, although it can be difficult to get to learn how to use the websites and the user interfaces and things like that. A lot of seniors feel safer just doing a telehealth appointment from home instead of having to go to the hospital or the clinic and putting yourself at risk for infection. So let me know in the comments, have you used telehealth through Medicare? And would you prefer if they kept including it in Medicare coverage? Personally, seems like a great idea. If anything, I think they should invest in training seniors and kind of educating them on how to access telehealth and then how to use the websites, because I know they can be a little tricky. So anything we can do to kind of increase safety in healthcare, right? It's always a good thing. Now, as far as stocks, let's quickly, just 30 seconds, talk about the stock market. And one thing people are talking about is, I get a lot of comments. A lot of seniors, obviously, they get Social Security, but they also have a mixture of stocks and bonds in retirements. And a lot of people say, like, what's going to happen next year in the stock market? This year, year to date, it's up about 20 to 25%. And a lot of people think, well, it's up so high this year, it's probably going to go down next year, or if anything, stay flat. But actually, there's a lot of data that shows that after historic years like this, when the stock market goes up 20 to 25%, the next few years generally bode well also. So if you look here, on your left, it shows when the stock market went up 20% or 25%, The following year, it goes up 11% and 10% respectively. Now, of course, this is an average over the last 50 years. So, over the last 50 years, anytime the stock market has gone up 20 to 25%, on average, the next year, it's gone up 10 or 11%. And then over the next 3 years, it's gone up 10 to 11% as well. So, again, this isn't guaranteed, but based off of 50 years of data, it looks like in years like this, we can generally expect this to be a sign of an overall robust economy that will continue to grow, and we can expect very solid growth next year as well. So if you have some of your retirements in stocks, expect most likely things to go well next year as well. Of course, there are a lot of factors at play, one of which is whether or not the stimulus package gets done. Of course, another stimulus package would further stimulate the economy. Some experts are worried it would overheat the economy and inflation would continue to get worse. Other experts are saying that actually the stimulus checks would not cause more inflation and would actually help people get over the hump and pay for this increase in costs. But one thing we have to look at when we're talking about potential payment dates is the fact that President Biden just acknowledged that this is not going to get done by Christmas. Remember, Chuck Schumer's his plan and his self-imposed deadline was Christmas. So they kept the Senate in session. They were supposed to leave December 10th, and they've been in session for an extra week trying to get the stimulus package done before Christmas. But President Biden has officially acknowledged that Build Back Better, the stimulus package, will miss the deadline, but says he's determined to see the bill on the Senate floor as early as possible. So this means basically that Joe Manchin is getting his way. He's not budging. He's not compromising. And essentially, it looks like the Senate is going to go ahead and take their vacation today. So what we expect them is to leave tonight. And then if you look at the rest of the calendar, they're on vacation. These dates that are blank with no color, that means both the House and the Senate are completely on vacation. And if we jump into 2022, these blue-colored dates, that shows that January 3rd, the Senate is going to be back in session. And the yellow dates show when both the House and the Senate are both back, which is going to be January 10th. So now that President Biden acknowledged that it's not going to get done by Christmas, we're expecting the Senate to fully take their vacation and not to have both chambers back until January 10th. So what does this mean for payment dates, when the stimulus package might be approved, and when payments could be sent accordingly? Well, first of all, those monthly child tax credits are done for now. Those final payments were just sent in the middle of December, and that is completely done unless this next stimulus package is approved. Of course, there is still going to be back pay. Remember, those monthly child stimulus payments were paid for 6 months, and the other 6 months of payments are going to be sent as back pay when people file their taxes. So families with kids are still going to get a giant lump sum stimulus payment as soon as they file their taxes. I've had a lot of comments from families who have 3 or 4 kids. They get $250 per kid, and they're going to get like $5,000 or $6,000 when they file their taxes. And this is one reason why Joe Manchin is saying they should pause, because his main concern really isn't the stimulus checks for seniors. It's the monthly stimulus checks for kids. And he thinks this is one of the main things causing inflation and potentially overheating the economy. So what he's saying is we have a lump sum coming to families when they file their taxes. And he doesn't think they should, on top of that, do additional monthly payments starting in January. So think about it. They could get January, February, March, every single month, get another stimulus payment. And then when they file their taxes, get an additional lump sum stimulus payment. So you can see how the monthly stimulus check for families could potentially be a problem. Now, when you take into account inflation, it makes sense that you might not want to give families this much stimulus. But at the same time, there are some families that genuinely need this money, right? So where do you decide who needs it and who doesn't? Apparently, Joe Manchin wants to pump the brakes, see how inflation goes for the next couple of months, and then reassess things going forward. Now, I've talked about it on my channel before. If the stimulus check for families gets taken out, if anything, that bodes well for the stimulus check for seniors, because now there is more funding available to include that in this package. Now, regarding payment dates, let's talk about a best case scenario. In a best case scenario, the Senate will come back this first week of January. They will come to a deal by the end of that week. And then by the following week, the end of that next week, January 14th, the House will fully approve the changes and then send that to President Biden, sign it into law. And that would be our best case scenario, right? That's a little optimistic, but let's go with that for now. So let's say that happens. It's fully approved by January 14th. then when would the stimulus payments be sent? When would people actually receive these payments? And remember, previously, seniors on Social Security got their stimulus checks last, but that was because the commissioner at the time was appointed by Donald Trump, and he purposely delayed stimulus checks for seniors to spite President Biden, right? So that was kind of a political game there, and seniors were basically the casualties in that situation. Well, that commissioner has since been fired, and we don't expect that to be an issue going forward. And what we would expect is these stimulus payments to come as quickly as they did with the second stimulus check. So, essentially, based off of the previous stimulus checks, we would expect about 20% of people to receive stimulus checks every single week. And then, of course, there's always like 10 to 20% of those people who don't get them for a couple of months for some reason. But essentially, we could expect the week of January 17th the first wave of people to get their checks, then the following week, another 20%, and so forth, until about the end of February, we'd have probably between 80 and 90% of people who had received their payments. And then those final 10 to 20% would receive them sometime over the next couple of months. For various reasons, some payments are always delayed. So, based off of what we know now, the fact that President Biden said they are not going to make this deadline, we now expect the Senate to fully take their planned vacation, which was supposed to start last week. Then, when they come back in early January, optimistically, it'll get done by the middle of January, which is when both the House and the Senate will be back in session. And again, about 20% of payments go out each week. So most people would receive their payments by the middle of February. Now, full disclosure here, that is an optimistic estimation for two reasons. One, that is estimating that they'll get this done quickly as soon as they get back. And secondly, it's also assuming that this stimulus check for seniors makes it in this package. I mean, we have to be completely honest here. Bernie Sanders is trying to include it in this package. He said seniors need a $1,000 stimulus check to help them pay for medical expenses until Medicare is expanded, as well as now help them cover inflation because although COLA was 5.8%, now we have inflation as high as 6.2%, right? So inflation continues to get worse. Medical expenses still continue to go up, and Medicare still has not been fully expanded, which was the main reason Bernie said we need to include this stimulus check for seniors in this next stimulus package. Now, with Joe Manchin digging in so much, a lot of people are thinking, you know what? It might not make it in this package. It's going to depend on everything else we've talked about. Again, the overall cost of the package. We've discussed the fact that the stimulus check for seniors is actually much, much cheaper. It's about a third, if that, of the cost of the monthly stimulus checks for families, especially when you take into account that it's a one-time payment and the monthly stimulus checks for families was basically expected to last forever, right? Because they say once you do a program like that, it's really hard to cancel it. So that's where things stand today. The Senate is expected to take its vacation. They won't be back until January 3rd. So they get their full 2 weeks despite not getting the stimulus package done. Then the House comes back on January 10th. So in a best case scenario, we'll get the stimulus package approved by January 14th. And again, about 20% of payments generally go out in waves every single week. Of course, there's also some theories that Democrats are purposely delaying the stimulus package. This has not been confirmed, but some political experts think that with the 2022 midterm elections coming up in November of next year, that Democrats are purposely delaying the stimulus package and they want to approve it either right before the elections or right after the elections. That way they could tell voters like, hey, we just sent you stimulus checks. You're going to want to vote for us so we can send more checks. Or they could promise more stimulus checks after the elections in order to win those votes. And that sounds a little bit shady, but that's basically what they did in Georgia when they won those 2 Senate runoff seats in January, right? They had 2 seats up for election. Democrats needed both of those seats to gain control of the Senate, and they promised a third stimulus check of $2,000, and they ended up winning both of those seats. Now, was it just because of the stimulus checks? Probably not, but we all know that was a large part of it, especially because back in January, people had just received the $600 stimulus check, and this idea of a $2,000 stimulus check had been cycling for a couple of months, right? So it was very top of mind and very influential in that election. Same thing happened in California. Governor Newsom was up for re-election. He promised a 5th stimulus check. In California, they've already had 5 stimulus checks at this point, and then he promised that check, and then he won that election, right? So this is why some experts think that Democrats might be purposely delaying these checks, almost using Joe Manchin as a scapegoat, right? Blaming Joe Manchin because he's in a Republican state anyway, right? He's not really going to get hammered in the elections for delaying checks. Blaming it on Joe Manchin and then just approving them right before the election or right after to try and win those seats. Because look, there's a really good chance, as the way things stand today, Democrats are going to lose control of both chambers, the House, definitely the Senate, and most likely the House as well, because they're polling so poorly. Now, some people think they're polling poorly because of inflation. That seems to be the biggest elephant in the room. And a lot of experts think inflation will kind of go down naturally in the next 6 months when the supply chain issues naturally kind of are ironed out. Now, some people think they're polling poorly because they still have not kept a lot of their promises, right? They promised to increase Social Security benefits. They promised to do a stimulus check for seniors. They promised to do a lot of things that still have not come to fruition. So again, our job on this channel is to keep President Biden to his word, make sure he increases Social Security benefits, make sure he increases SSI and SSDI, and make sure he keeps his promise to do a specific stimulus check for seniors in this current stimulus package. But with that said, that's what we currently know today, what's happening with negotiations, what we expect to happen next, and payment dates potentially if they're able to approve this stimulus package in January. So with that said, folks, we should have a lot of updates in the next couple of weeks. Don't forget to subscribe. I will keep you posted as things develop on the next stimulus package and Social Security changes as well. So thank you so much for watching, and until the next video, take care and have a great day.